Hello? Hello? I'm here, hi! Oh, that's not what I was meant to do. I meant to be in a different model. Just give me a moment. Give me a moment. Commands. Commands. Boss Chibi off. Boss Lady on. Boss Banana. Play. And I'm here. Yeah. Yeah. Genius. Genius. Hi, how you doing? Read the title wrong. Was ready to paint Conjurer. So sad. No, don't paint me. Paint with me. Oh. Your avatar looks amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, where are we going? Where we go? But hello, Poseidon 9. Hello, Talan. Hello, Lord Grandmaster. How are you all doing? I hope you're doing well on this fine Tuesday morning. It's okay. It's actually a Sunday afternoon. I like saying Tuesday morning, so was going to paint you as an iron fist. No, don't paint me yellow. No, I'll never be yellow. I'll never be yellow, especially not 2 weeks from now. You're doing pretty well. You're doing pretty well. Nice. You want to see something? Do you want to see something? Oh, look at that. It's a schedule. It's a schedule. Oh, next week. Next week, what we're doing. Look at that corn cupcake. You got to love it. We got Double Dungeon. We got Rimworld. We're looking at the Combat Patrol magazine. We're building a Bloodthirster. We're painting some more. We got battle suits to build. Oh my goodness, we got so much going on next week. Ah, Bloodthirster. Bloodthirster, yeah, because I found one for like super cheap. So I bought it as soon as I saw it, and now I've got a Bloodthirster. It also, I literally bought it like one night, and then it arrived like the next morning. I'm like, what? How? What for heckers? Yeah, I told you, I found like a Bloodthirster for 80% off. And since we're going to be getting a World Eaters army anyway, because of the Combat Patrol magazines, it's going to have a Mauler Fiend. Oh, I'm putting that into my Night Lords. 20 Corn Berserkers, 10 Jackals. I've got 8 Goremongers. I also found at the same time as a Bloodthirster some Goremongers, some Guardians, and some other models really cheaply, so I got them. So yeah, it's going to have 2... But what we're getting for the Combat Patrol, we're getting for Juggernaut Lord, a Demon Prince. Oh yeah, but we're going to build the Demon Prince as a Siege Demon Prince now. 20 Corn Berserkers, 10 Jackals. Mauler Fiend is instead being used in the Night Lord army. Juggernaut Lord. And then I already have for 8 Goremongers. And I've got 8 more. And then we got for Bloodthirster. And that's a 1,000-point army just right there. I was tempted to get like... I was tempted to get, do you know, the new Demonkin box? I mean, it's still, there's plenty of it everywhere. But no, I'm only tempted. I'm not going to get it. I'm only very infinitely tempted. But I have self-control. You're always tempted. I am. Which version? I know there's a version, but sue me. Well, the version I have is for 8 for 1. That I'll show you. I'll show you. We'll go to the handcams. Here we are. Click here. Warhammer 40k. Armies of Chaos. World Eaters. We're not that because that's not a Bloodthirster. That's a Demon Primarch. Not that because it's a Demon Prince. This one. That's Scarbrand. We're not getting Scarbrand because, you know, I don't even think it can be built as a generic Bloodthirster. Yeah. It's only got one way to build it. 100mm around base. Yeah, we're not this one. This is just generic Scarbrand. That's a named character. The one we've got is this one. It's this one. Oh, look at him. I'm not going to build the long chain one because I feel like that's just liable to snapping. Instead, I'm going to build this version, also liable to snapping. But I like that. It looks like kind of like a Balrog. You know. Oh, do you think he can have a sword? If he can have a sword, I'll give him a sword. Oh, giant double-handed axe. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it is correct. Like, it's 80% off. It was bought used, but it was brand new in box. The box was sealed. All of the components are fine. CEX is sometimes really good for getting some cool deals. Ooh, Springs too fast. I need to watch some of the new stuff. I can show you the box, actually. Just give me a moment. Guardians! Here we go. My camera's zoomed in for painting, so... But yeah. And there's 3 ways to build him, I guess. That one, and that one. I kind of like that one. Although I don't know if he can have a different weapon in his hand. Actually, since I'm building the Demon Prince like has a sword option, doesn't it? Maybe the sword would be good enough for him. Or if I can find like a giant sword and like give him a whip, giant sword, make him look like a Balrog. That would be cool. I think the Demon Prince might be too small. Oh, that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to build drop pods as well. Ah, we can do that next week. The week after. Balrogs use whips. They do. The sword probably won't. It probably won't be. I've got a few big swords around, so I'll see if any of them are big enough. I don't know how big the Bloodthirster is. I've never seen the black plastic Chaos Lords in person except... Oh no, I have seen the Great Unclean one before. But that's about it, as far as those things go. We're painting this dude today. Hopefully finishing him today. He shouldn't be as bad as this one. I mean, he doesn't have a cool power axe. That's going to take a while. He doesn't have as much gold and details on him. I really like how this guy turned out, though. Oh, do I need to change the colour balance a little on this camera today? You know... Yeah, this guy didn't turn out too bad. I like his shoulder. Look how shiny and cool it is compared to this shoulder. I'm not even sure how I did that. This one was different. I didn't use... I used for this one... Gene Stealer purple. Ceres purple, I think it is. And then for contrast paint... Oh... Begins with an S. I think. Oh, what's the Law of Death called? Shaiish. Shaiish purple. Yeah, except this one I use Luxian purple, Shaiish purple, and Majos purple. And it has this really nice shiny finish to it. Kind of looks like a gemstone. Try doing the same for this, but it's not got quite the same sheen to it. Still looks relatively nice. Give him a normal sword. Give him a normal sword. Do you like one of these power swords that he has? By the way, have you ever realised just how tiny these dudes are? The Tau. Like, this is a straight up Tau. And look how tiny he is. That's okay, it's against the Space Marine, but it's like even against other models, he seems really tiny. So what do I have to do next? I want to do the blue here. We'll get Ultramarines blue on this thing. Then we'll get the yellow on the chain. After that, I think we want to do Wraithbone on this. Yeah, do Skeleton Horde on this. It kind of looks like I might have. But we'll get some Wraithbone. I'm not sure I did do Skeleton Horde on it. It's not dark enough. Yeah, it's not dark enough. So I get some Wraithbone on that to do for highlighted up bits. Then Skeleton Horde, then more Wraithbone should do well. Skeleton, Gulliman flesh will be on this thing. We'll highlight it with a bit of Raker flesh and throw some Gulliman flesh at it. After that, we want to get the golds done. Get the blue highlights on this thing. We'll do, when we're doing the golds, we'll do the gold little baubles on them too. I want to do that gold. Probably should do. I could do it purple. Not sure. Not sure what colour I want that yet. Oh, could actually be good as a silver colour. Yeah, we'll do that silver. Just get a few. Then we want to do for eyes. And then we'll be very close to finishing. Oh. Yeah, we'll have to do some neatening up. And then all we want to do is for wear and tear on the armour. Like we did on this. I feel like this might still be over the top wear and tear on it. Still don't know how to feel on this yet. Might just get some black on his armour, just finish it off there a little bit. A bit like how I did on this one, just to reduce the amount of wear I ended up putting on it. And make the blacks pop a bit more. But yeah, we got paid. And then we'll have a second one of a normal squad done. And then we'll have a third one and then a fourth one. And it'll be all pretty and it will be beautiful. Hopefully. Oh, also, I finally made my blooming Thespid Stingwings. Finally did Thespid Stingwings. You want to see them? You want to see the Thespid Stingwings? You might want to. You might not. Where did I put my ultramarine blue? Now that's Talasar blue. Look here as a darker colour. Darker colour, darker colour. There we go. Ultramarine's blue. That's what we wanted next. I've already got the iodine yellow. Ah. Look at all that paint stuck in the bottom. Oh, there's one thing I want to test out. Actually. And it's over here. Hard coat. Contrast Black Legion. Where did I put the hard coat? Contrast Black Legion. It's a very big bottle. It's this one. Yeah, I want to test this out on something. It's a varnish. Apparently you don't want to use your good brushes with this. Oh gosh, that's a lot thicker than I anticipated. Okay, let's get a bad brush then. Preferably a bad brush that can still form a point to some extent. A tiny, but no, it's varnish. It's a large bottle of like a varnish. I'll test it out on this shoulder pad here to see if it gives the nice shiny effect. So just wait for that to dry, see how it will look. It's just so shiny! So shiny! But there we go. We'll see how it looks. Oh, I need to get my magnifying glass out, that reminds me. Let's just move the camera a little bit so you don't have to worry about the magnifying glass and stuff. There we go. Move this out of the way. Okay, that's good. That's good. We just need to shake this up now. Actually, there's a few ways. You can do like the vortex shake where it's just like just going around in circles. That's actually very good at picking up the sediment at the bottom. Or you can just go ba 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 ba. It's coming out. Gives you a nice arm workout, does shaking these bottles. And it's gone. There we go. Do I want to use this brush and that? I mean, I can do. There we go. A nice amount on the brush. Because it is a contrast and it is going over relatively dark grey. And we do want the blues to pop in the end. And to get into all of these crevices. Yeah. I'm thinking about, doing a few videos about just random painting techniques that I find relatively useful. Don't know if anyone else will, but I find them useful. Some stuff I've learned, most of it I've just picked up by painting. I'm trying to think of like different types of videos I can do. Like one of my favourite tricks is if you're struggling to keep your hand steady, just go like this and put your pinky on that finger there and it stabilises you. Or if you can, just put it on the surface. Keep your wrist also on the desk or whatever surface you're using. If you're painting a relatively big model or relatively difficult model, you can put your finger on the model itself. It doesn't need to support the entire weight of your hand, but just having your finger even lightly supported can drastically reduce how shaky your hand is. Another thing is just control your breathing, just breathe easy. Okay, how's this looking? Well, it's not too bad. If your hands are shaky, just hold your breath until they stop. Now, holding your breath. Those sound like Short's ideas. Yeah! I was thinking maybe like make a long form video with all the different techniques in them and then put them into shorts as well. Have a method. Have a short for each method that I think of. Oh, yeah. Okay, I think I need to change a bit of the camera thing here. OBS. Let's change something. There you go. Does that look a little better? That might be a little better. Hi, Dennis and a Misery. Hi, TA. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Let's put a little bit more blue on this gun. I want it to look more... Okay, I should have not put as much paint on my brush that time around. That's one of the things I found of the other two models we've done so far is the blue on the weapons just wasn't doing it for me. I think it just requires 2 layers. I was just not happy with the way it looked. Oh, there we go. This is looking a lot nicer. Yeah, you have to be a bit careful with contrast paint when doing multiple layers. Especially when you're doing it over dry brushing and stuff. As eventually it can just make your dry brushing seem pointless. Which maybe I did a bit fair on one of the sides. You've been transferred to the phone for I am also painting. Nice! What are you painting? Oh, you're painting your little night things. You're building your Photon kit last night. Attached a leg, tried to rotate it as it's supposed to, and the bar just came away. It is frozen in the... Oh no! I've had some Warhammer models that were like that. But that's because of... They were glued. Oh my gosh, I remember for 17 months.
Cupcake made.
Thank you for being a member for so long. Much appreciated. Big old love hearts. I hope you've been using your cupcake magic responsibly though. Yeah, you better be using that cupcake magic responsibly, otherwise the cupcake police will have to come to your location and feed you a load of cola until you feel better. And stop using it irresponsibly. Cupcakes are not supposed to live this long. End me. No, never! Never! Cupcakes are immortal in Cuptopia. Opposite leg is fine. Leads me to believe this is a defect and not my fault, so asked for a refund. Should know by tomorrow. Oof. Yeah, for the only time I've had it happen with like my models is because of the Warhammer, and it's because I got a bit of glue into it, into the joint by accident. Which is sometimes hard to avoid. Okay, how does this look? That looks pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. Someone more mode than Cupcake. Never! Immortal but not ageless. No, you are ageless. Don't worry about it. No, there's no mode. There's no modey cupcakes. There's no modey cupcakes in Cuptopia. Don't make me send for Daily after you. Got a paint to shake up. There's no modey cupcakes in Cuptopia. It's a lie you've been told by the terrible, by the impoverished. Yeah. When a part that should move doesn't, is wrong, I can afford to replace the kit. Well, I have a street church in view of money. Lost $5. I'll starve. Yeah. Oh yeah, let's see that corn cupcake. Look. Look. The corn cupcake's been using his magic irresponsibly, so, you know, he's had to suffer. There's no mold on the corn cupcake. Let's go back here. Let's go back here. Let's look.
It's not the magic keeping the cupcakes alive, it's the mold puppeting us like a cordyceps infection.
No, it's not. Look, see, it's not moldy. The corn cupcake isn't moldy. There's no mold there. The Nurgle cupcake. Neither the Nurgle cupcake's moldy. It's fully diseased, but it's not moldy. Look, they're beautiful. The one consistent thing that they don't, you know, if you're, maybe that's why he's so upset, because he's a magic cupcake and it's like, I don't want to be magic. Also, Corn does use magic. Corn is literally a demon from the war. Its very existence is magic. The cannons they use work using magic. They use magic swords. They do magic rituals to summon demons. Everything is magic. Just because they refuse to accept it. It's like doing over Black Templar. They're all like, psychics are bad. But we're not psychics. We just use the power of our prayer and will in the same way that orcs use their psychic essence. Do you know, just to manipulate the world around us? The cannons are just some dude. It's some magic dude, Talan. All of it is magic. Even if Korn refuses to accept that it's magic. Actually, no. Magic in the old world is different from magic in, you know, 40k and even Age of Sigmar. And there's a bigger separation between demons and magic. And, you know, all of that stuff. Because for magic, it's the 4 winds of, well, for multiple winds of magic and stuff. And these are connected to, like, forces of order that are, like, opposite of, you know, the demons. And in that regard, kind of all of them dislike magic to some extent, although they do use it. And if the old style of stuff, then, yeah, Sinch was, like, the only one that used, like, non-demon magic. But that stuff all changed, and the difference between magic and chaos, like, blurred. The lines blurred. Korn doesn't like casting spells to fight. She can do any magic to wash your dishes. Korn smash dishes. Korn casts magic to do the housekeeping, so he has more time to sit his chair and watch people fight. Sounds like a propaganda. Yeah, you're having a propaganda, Tanan. A propaganda at what old world and magic and everything's about. And in 40k, magic and demons are one of the same. There's no real escaping it. There we go. What do you think's going to be coming out next week? I'm thinking it might be new Custode. Oh, it's probably going to be Twinlands and stuff, isn't it? And the Tyranid Warrior Prime. And the new League of Photon. Is anyone getting the new models then? Do you know, for Tyranid Warrior Prime, new League of Photon guy, and the Twinlands this? Anyone getting any of them? I don't think I will. I'm a bit sad that the Tyranid Prime doesn't have like any weapon options. I was hoping it would. Like it would have the option to get a bone sword. And it's got pretty decent stats all in all, it's just... I'm hoping it has different ways to model it though. Like if it's being a leader beast, I don't want it to look identical to every single other Tyranid warrior practice, especially since it's one that you're probably going to want more than one of. You're probably going to want like 2 or 3 of them in an army because it's very useful just to like throw into a squad and turns a squad of like gaunts from something that can be ignored to a serious deadly threat. You would never get a Tyranid. Why not? The new Twin Lance models look cool. Don't know how expensive they are going to be. I'm going to guess about 50 quid for them. But it might only be like 30 or 40 only. Just based on like other models. Twin Lances are pretty cool. The new Photon dude is probably going to be about 24 to 27 quid, I imagine. Tyranid Warrior Prime, I'm imagining like 28, 29. Hard to know. Actually, how expensive is the current Tyranid Warrior Prime? Probably going to be around the same price. There we go. Yellows. Also, yeah, that is meant to be white. Same way that this is white here and that's white there. It's just to denote what squad they're in. If I could, I'd get the Twin Lances and the Farsight Battle Force if they're still there on the shelves of the Montca build. Oh, I'm not sure. I imagine you can use the two together, but it does feel a bit weird to use Farsight with the Twin Lances. I once again find myself disappointed with the Land Prime. I don't need the 10-inch move for my warriors. Why am I paying for the extra stats? Where's the Warrior Prime, who is just a warrior but better? Actually, we don't know how many points it's going to be. I imagine the 10-inch move is just so it can join Harmagants. I think that's meant to be the reason you got the 10-inch move. So it can join Harmagants, it can give them the shoot at the Harmagants, and they're going to just rush further forward towards you. While in the Harmagants, it can advance and charge. And it also just makes them far more dangerous, not only giving them sustained hits and making sure that they're in Synapse range, but it is Harmagants, is it Termagants, the stabby ones? Whatever, the melee ones, the melee gaunts. But also, its own stats just make them more dangerous. Like, you can't just throw Terminators in and expect them to be safe anymore. 11th edition is around for Karma. Yeah, I don't know how far off it is, because they're still announcing a lot of stuff. Okay, what do I want to do next? I'm thinking... yeah, let's do the skeleton hard, the Gullum and flesh. No, the highlights of Wraithbone of these things. Then for Gullum and flesh, and for skeleton hard. Yeah. But we don't know how many points it's going to be. At least as far as I'm aware, we don't yet know how many points the Tyranid Warrior Prime is going to be. Stand. So Waddle Prime is made for Harmagants, like Flappy Prime is made for Gargoyles, whereas the one for Warriors, I think is also good for Warriors. Like, it gives, yeah, it has some extra move that's going to be wasted if it joins the Warriors. But equally, it's giving for Warriors, you know, the Surge move, which I don't think should be underestimated. Especially on for Warriors. And it gives them sustained hits on all of her attacks. which again shouldn't be underestimated. I think it still works relatively. I mean, it depends on, again, how many points it is. For Flappy Prime, I imagine if they release one for Warriors, it's going to have double bone swords. And I hope they do. I hope it's got like double whips and bone swords. It's probably going to be double bone swords and either rending claws or scything talons. And it's going to have like twin linked bone sword attack with extra scything talon attacks that are also twin linked. And it would make sense because currently, how many versions of the Lieutenant Arthur for Space Marines? You've got the Phobos version, the one in Reaver armor, which the Phobos one can join Reavers anyway. The normal Lieutenant, and then the one that just goes around by itself with Lone Operative. We can say that Parasite to Mortrex is the Parasite and Mortrex is Lone Operative. Parasite and Mortrex is basically equivalent to that. So Surge and melee wise is good to be sure. Do the Maelstrom moves like epic heroes, or does it just make characters? It makes characters, as far as I'm aware. I don't have a Maelstrom book yet. It should be arriving on Monday. Ooh, actually, one of the handcams might just be us reading over a Maelstrom book. So yeah, Wavebone. I've not seen the Tyrannid Maelstrom rules yet, but I imagine you can probably make a warrior. Yeah. I mean, it is also a warrior book, but don't forget it has a 3+ armor save. Rather than a 4+ armor save. It's also got 3 different weapons for dealing with 3 different types of enemies, which is pretty amazing. Hi, the Warhammer commenter. How are you doing? We're talking about the new Tyrannid Warrior Prime. So in terms of damage output, it's... Oh gosh, my internet just died. But sometimes it dies for just a second. Yeah. So, I mean, it is very much like it does have a increased damage output. It does boost the squad. It joins. It's not good for ranged warriors. That's the one thing I will say. I mean, it does give them sustained hits, which isn't bad. Because it does affect all weapons, not just melee. But that surge move is kind of useless for shooter warriors. Oh, maybe not useless. Does it have to be towards the closest enemy, or can you just move normally? Yeah, for new Tyranid Prime. It's pretty neat. It is. A gun. Why is it ranged? Just look at the new guy. He's forgot something because he has. Yeah, I mean, he can give them for sustained with the weapons, but again, he's not going to be doing much. It's not like the Lieutenant for the Space Marines. It can have a mastercrafted bolter, which is a damage 2 heavy bolt rifle, which is pretty neat. It can also have neophokite pistols, plasma pistols. He can actually have a pretty substantial shooting attack. The other thing about the Lieutenant is that it can be armed with a storm shield, giving it an invulnerable save. Lethal hits is also arguably better than sustained hits. But yeah, it might be nice to get like a warrior that does have... It would be nice just to have a warrior character that just has multiple weapon options when you buy the model, rather than just buy one you buy a model, it's got one way to build it. Because that's the main thing I'm disappointed about. Like, I was hoping that the picture was just one way to build it, and it seems like the only way to build it now. Oh, I need to get green on these things as well. I forgot about that. Oh, is it red? What do we usually put on them? Green and red. We'll put red on it. I want to get some Blood Angels red now because I've seen people use it and it looks really, really nice. The Blood Angels. Contrast. I got Ball red instead. Which is pretty nice. But it does have a habit of just going down very flat despite being a contrast paint. Yeah. I do like the new warrior though. Our ranged warrior is actually relatively good at the moment. I know that they used to be really good because of the Venom cannon and the other cannon that they could have. Hi, Doodle. How you doing? Interesting. I saw a cloth and I thought it was a Dark Angels Marine. No, Black Templar, but special Black Templar. I mean, they were originally just going to be Black Templar, but I've decided that they're probably just a successor chapter now. But, well, it started off as Black Templar, but now they're just a Sons of Dawn successor chapter that follows a similar organization as the Black Templars. Yeah, it's Black Templars. You mean like how the old Warrior Prime was just built from the Warrior box? That's where the large shoulder chitin wings exist in the box. Yeah. Oh, that was for Warrior Prime. I thought that was just for the lead of the Warrior Squad. I can't remember. In the really old editions, were the Warrior Primes? Like, I think it was just Warrior Squads instead of having a sergeant had like Space Marines or Guardsmen would have. They instead were led by Warrior Primes. Except the only difference was they got like one extra attack. And that was it. I think they could get like a few upgrades. And then I think they eventually gave them like their own rules. Or like as a character. I can't remember. I think you could take a warrior squad as a HQ slot. But I don't even know if I still have my old 5th or 4th editions Tyranid Codex. I've gotten rid of it. I do like them. And my Black Templars, they are a bit more tolerant than the average Black Templars. And that's another reason why it's probably best just to make them as a thing. The current law for my Black Templars, or my fan headcanon law, is that they're trapped on the other side of the Great Rift. And as a result, they've had to change up the doctrine massively. Not that Alderic, the marshal of them, really minded too much changing up the doctrine. Like, he's a rebuilder. He likes helping worlds rebuild and helping for people. Rather than just liberate world, take people, move on to next world. It's like, if I'm liberating a world, I don't want to have to come back and liberate people. Liberate it from its Brighton's biosphere. No! Yeah, my guys care greatly for the people. Not all of them agree, mind you. Not all of them agree. Some of them are, you know, a little less tolerant than others. When it comes to these things. Realised she wanted... Nah, that's not the way. They're not salamanders. They're not that good. They're just... They're more like salamanders compared to like... The thing is like when I was into Black Templars and stuff, you also had things where like you had stories about, you know, astropaths being treated really, really nicely because, you know, they could see the light of the Emperor and the Black Templars respected that. So a lot of my inspiration for my Black Templars comes from that kind of stuff. And, you know, things like where we see Grimaldus being a lot nicer to like the fellow guardsmen and stuff like that. That's where I get a lot of mine, the less extreme side of the Black Templars. And Alderic was very much on that less extreme side of this Templars. At least that's meant to be where some of this comes from. Not all of the Templars under Alderic's command believe, you know, as he does. But he's the one in charge. The other thing is that they are my guys care a lot less. Like the normal Templars are like, who cares about the Codex? My guys also a bit like care a bit like who the heck cares about, do you know, what the ecclesiarchy says is right or wrong, or do you know, oh not that, oh what's the word? Not propaganda. Regime, rigid, doctrine. Yeah, they care a lot less about the general doctrines of the Imperium, of occult mechanicus and stuff like that. So they do a few questionable things that could potentially get them branded as heretics, but from the other side of the maelstrom anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I know there are White Templars, but they are Crusade-inspired chapters. The Hospitallers are white and red, and they are exactly like the Black Templars in the terms. Well, actually, in many regards, they're exactly like the Black Templars. They use the same models. It's just instead of black, they use white. Instead of white, they use red. That's just how they flipped. The Hospitallers, though, aren't on an eternal crusade. Instead, they follow the same organization, same beliefs. They're also just as pious. But they are... Instead of being on crusade, they defend the pilgrimage routes of the Imperium. Then you have you got the Silver Templars, but they're not related at all to the Black Templars. They just share the same Templar name. They're actually an Ultramarine successor chapter. And they share more in common with the Salamanders than pretty much any other chapter. Black Templars are Crusaders, but use IRL Hospitaller design, while the White Templars are Hospitallers, but use the IRL Knights Templar design. No, I think the White Templar aren't called the White Templar. They're literally called the Hospitallers in canon. They're called the Hospitaller chapter. They use a Knights Templar design, except they still use a Hospitaller cross, but it's red on white. I think for a few other Templars. My entire idea is that my guys were once a Black Templar crusade organised by Alderic. Do you want to see my chapter master equivalent? My High Marshal. I'll get him. There we go. It's one of the first models I built and one of the first ones I painted when I came back to the game. So he's not the best, but here he is. Marshal Alderic. Yeah. He has a big old claw. He's in Graphis armor. I hear Hospitallers, and all I think is this is a battle. It's one of the characters of that faction. Oh. Yeah, I believe the Hospitallers are just as bad as like the Templar for, being pious and stuff. And, very dogmatic. Yeah, dogmatic, that's a good word. My guys are still pious and dogmatic and still believe the Emperor's a god and all of that stuff. They're a bit more tolerant of, non-Chaos mutants and non-Xenos mutants. So things like Ogrins, Ratlings, stuff like that. Imperial sanction, any Imperial sanctioned mutant they're tolerant of. And by tolerant of, I don't mean they like them. They just, they're not going to do what some of the more crazy Templars do and, just try executing them all. Eradication. Sorry, my cable's getting all weird for my headphones. They're not like that compared to other Templars. They're not the nicest, mind you, still, when it comes to those things. It's more of a... we allow you to exist. Although some of them are kind of like Alderic. Alderic himself is kind of to those types of things. When it comes to Psychers, they don't want Psychers in their chapter. They're tolerant of them. They accept that Psychers are important. They especially respect astropaths quite a lot. Again, not all of a chapter does, but most of them follow the teachings of Alderic. That astropaths aren't too bad. Oh, there we go. When they do see chaos, though, they are very, very liable to overpurge. Not quite to the same scale as the Grey Knights and the Inquisition and stuff, but still to a level where other chapters will be looking at them and going, you know, those people are probably innocent. You know, people suffering under chaos, and these guys are just like, yeah, we're not taking chances about that. You know, if they're innocent, they should have been fighting against chaos. Psycho hate to fleet chapters are kind of hypocritical. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. If you look at the Black Templars, especially some of the old, not the oldest lore, but some of the lore from 5th, 6th edition time period, I believe. It's, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I take a Ogren over Black Templar protect me. A Boogeyman has a higher toughness save than a Terminator armor. Yeah. I mean, honestly, the Black Templars are the one group of people you generally don't want to come and save you. The main reason being, it's not always. Because if you read even the current law, it says in many cases, the Black Templar will do this, or they'll do that, or whatever. They'll come, they'll liberate the world, they'll purge way too much, they'll punish the people for, you know, not being able to protect themselves. Then they'll take away a bunch of healthy people to, you know, turn them into space marines and serfs. And then they'll leave the planet, never to return, only to liberate it again maybe in the future. But not very good. But that being said, again, that's not true of every single Black Templar. Again, plenty of Black Templar, you know, fought in Armageddon, plenty of Black Templars, you know, have saved and worked with people. They, plenty of Templars have been accepting, not just accepting of astropaths, but kind of just worshipped the ground they're on, they walk on. But then you get plenty of lore that suggests they aren't. And again, it's because a chapter is not just, in the same way you can't just say like all French people act in a certain way, or all British people act in a certain way, or all have this belief, or all Christians or whatever. You have to remember there are diverse groups of people that often form into many subgroups and sub-factions within their factions and groups that they belong to. And they all have differing beliefs, interpretations of beliefs, and different ideas. And the same goes for Black Templar. Some of them are on the one side of the hate everything scale, others on the complete opposite spectrum. At least that's how I interpret the law. It's like you got one of my favorite things is when you're reading about like with Tau especially, you see a lot more of that diversity of thought amongst the Tau. Where some of the Tau are absolute fanatics of the greater good. Others don't seem to really. They're like, yeah, the greater good's good. That's it. Others don't trust the ethereals. Some do trust the ethereals way too much. But then you got like the Tau saying, like certain Tau, it's like saying the imperial technology is terrible, and then some other Taus just going up to them going, no, it's not. It's actually better than ours. It just doesn't always look that way. And the same goes for Eldar. It goes for every single faction. Hi, Seradwin. I just like the whole, like IRL, how different people think, and 40k is like a whole galaxy, so what you said applies times 1000, yeah. And you've got to remember, there's at least 6,000 Black Templar. And because they're constantly on crusade, they're being cycled through a lot quicker than your average chapter. So you're constantly having new, and the Black Templar also split across the entire galaxy. You've got like dozens of minor crusades going on, often multiple major crusades. There might be as many as 10,000, if not more, Black Templar. No one really knows how many there is. And as a result, trying to say, like, the way this one... In fact, one of the most recent stories that had a big focus around Black Templar was... it's actually quite a fun story. It's a crusade that Dino was given Primaris Marines, but they've not reported since the Primaris Marines were sent there, and the custodian who took the Primaris Marines, he hasn't returned. So, but when they eventually got there with a new batch of Primaris Marines, they arrived and found out that the Black Templar had killed the Primaris Marines and the custodian, viewing them as, you know, heretical, not good, not what the Emperor intended. But the Black Templars there were actually split into two camps. You had the chaplain, who were extremists, who hated the Primaris, and he had his followers. And then you had the Marshal, who was on the other side of the argument, saying that they need the Primaris, that they were, you know, must be sanctioned by the Emperor and everything else because the custodian's bringing them, and Gulliman gave his approval. And then you had his followers. Ultimately, the chaplain and his followers outnumbered the others and won the fight, including getting rid of the custodian and the Primaris. But it shows you that they are split. They don't all just think the same way. You've also got Black Templar that, you know, don't really agree with Helbrecht, and they kind of hate him. So I find it really interesting when you do see these massive divides in factions. Another big divide that you see that's often the fandom kind of ignores is the Grey Knights. The Grey Knights are a faction. When on Armageddon, when the Space Wolves, we know, wanted to stop Armageddon being exterminatus by the Inquisition, people often think the Grey Knights were on the side of the Inquisition. But when you actually look at it, you find the majority of Grey Knights actually refused to fight for Space Wolves because they agreed with them. They weren't going to rebel against their Grand Master and the Inquisition, but they weren't going to stop the Space Wolves from stopping the Inquisition and the Grand Master who was there. And the amount of Grey Knights that actually supported the Grand Master and the Inquisition and the Exterminators was so small that the Space Wolves could, you know, reliably defeat them. And that is pretty neat, if I do say so myself. Okay, I've got a couple of colours to get out now. Reichland Flesh Shade, nope. Gulliman Flesh. Gulliman Flesh? No, Gargunter. Shaiish. Skeleton Heart. Let's get that out. Carrielberg Crimson, no thank you. Nastrag Yellow, no thank you. Stormfiend. Oh, I should really check what Stormfiend looks like, shouldn't I? Gulliman Flesh. I also want to get some Abaddon Black out. And some... What do I want? Oh, I want gold. Gold, 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 gold. Oh gosh, this Fulbright Clocker was not closed properly. Some Retributor armor and some Balthasar gold. Hello, Night Parade. How are you doing? Grey Knights are very reasonable than your average spaceman. They even actively helped and fought together with the Eldari. The Black Templars also fought together with the Eldar. There was a crusade that was fighting against the Eldar, but then they both teamed up to fight some other bigger threat, and then they both kind of just left one another. After that, they both came to an agreement and were like, you know, maybe these people are more honourable than we give them credit for. And, you know, they moved on. Yeah. I think often, as funny as the memes get for Warhammer, do you know, factions just being silly and over the top and stuff like that? I think it kind of forgets the greater lore. Hi, Clyde! Like when Blood Angels fought with Carnate Demons against the Tyranids. Well, it's more like the Carnate Demons came to help the Blood Angels, kind of. I think any of them that actually came across one another still try to fight one another there. It's similar how the Guardsmen saved the Tau from the Tyranids, but even before the Tyranids are defeated, they were actually shooting at one another again. As against High Fleet Gorgon. Yeah. Just shaking apart. Well, yeah, as much as like the memes and stuff are funny, I do think it comes sometimes does make people forget that the factions, they're meant to look like stereotypes. The way that they're described is purposely designing to like, hey, look, these guys are stereotype. Except then when you actually look at the faction, they are not that stereotype. It's meant to be kind of like mimicking real life, where every single faction kind of has these stereotypes said about them. And sometimes they do mirror those stereotypes, like the stereotypes are kind of based on truth. And sometimes characters like within the faction hear the stereotypes and just fully embrace it. But so many of them don't do that. And I kind of like that. I kind of like the contradictions between these things. It's like, if you didn't have that, I don't think Imp Fiction from 40k Universe would be anywhere near as compelling as it currently is. Like, if people were just the stereotypes of what the factions they belong to, you wouldn't have Kypheus Kane, you wouldn't have... you wouldn't have Yavik, you wouldn't have Gaunt's Ghost. You wouldn't have half of the characters that are out there. You wouldn't have Gulliman. You wouldn't have even Dawn to some extent. I think the only factions that, you know, are kind of the stereotype that they, you know, are meant to be are the Chaos ones. And the Tyranids. And even the Tyranids kind of go against it quite often. Like the guys who are meant to eat everything and destroy everything they come across are making planets where they start farming resources. And are ignoring planets to fight chaos and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, sure, it's probably to fulfill the goal of defying the galaxy, but still, seeing them act out a character is interesting. Yeah, every interesting character is usually the opposite of the archetype. Yeah, and often you see that the antagonist within these books, like, not the antagonist of, like, but when you have, like, an antagonistic character, Dawn will never not be the text-to-speech handlebar. Space Father. Yeah. I don't know. What else is... Oh, yeah, when you often see, like, antagonistic characters appear, like sometimes you see, like, Space Marines are trying to save a planet, then other Space Marines get in the way. You often find, like, where you see these sort of kind of antagonistic but allied characters appear. That's when they embrace the stereotype that they belong to. Oh yeah, you wouldn't have Eisenhorn either. You wouldn't have most of the characters in 40k. Even some of the Chaos ones, like the more interesting ones, like Lucius the Eternal. Oh, what is he called? Emperor's Champion, Emperor's Children guy. Well, it was originally Emperor's Children. Fabius Bile. Yeah, Fabius Bile. He kind of goes against a lot. While he is those stereotypes to some extent, you can kind of see him. And the Iron Warriors as well. They go like, the Iron Warriors have their own stereotype, but that stereotype is like so antithesis of a lot of chaos. Like, they're very organized, they're very don't want to worship chaos and stuff like that. Many of the Black Legion characters, again, are like that. Even Abaddon to some extent. And Horus himself. I really definitely have people like the not Nurgle. Necron characters. Trizan the Infinite. And the Silent King. Not all of the Eldar are pompous and full of themselves. And even if they are pompous and full of themselves, it doesn't necessarily mean that they hate everybody. And it's interesting. It makes the world and galaxy a lot more interesting. All of this to say that I am not going against the law by making my Black Templar a bit more friendly than your average Black Templar. Yeah, they are. I enjoy it. Yeah, I also have to say that they are a bit more friendly than your average Black Templar. That does not necessarily mean they are friendly. They're nicer to Imperial citizens. They're nicer to foes who haven't been corrupted by chaos or been around chaos too much. They're a bit more... they're more human-looking a mutant. Like the more normal human it looks like. Do you know for aliens that not aliens, for not Xenos, why am I saying it? For mutants that oh, what are they called? Like long humans or something like that. They're very tall, they evolved in low gravity. They're more tolerant of them than they would be of an Ogryn. And they're more tolerant of a Ratling than they are of an Ogryn. Hi, Nano Fate! I love the scene where he tortures a demon with how hard he denies its existence. Yeah, Warhammer's kind of silly like that. Yeah. I kind of, Hi, French Puff! The Spacers, yeah.
Puff word of the day. Breaking news. French puff pastry has been seen eating the sun.
No! Give us some, but actually I don't like the sun. It's warm. It's warm and it's hot and it burns and it gets everywhere. Longshanks, there we go. Yeah, they exist in 40k. They're also more tolerant of my guys are probably a lot more tolerant of Psychers than your average one. Imperial sanctioned Psychers they're a lot more tolerant of. Anyone who's not Imperial sanctioned, they're very intolerant of. But they will generally give Psychers a chance. Like a Psyker that's not yet had the chance to become sanctioned, they'll be like, okay, we're going to get you onto a black ship. and get you towards somebody who can sanction you. But I do have a few Inquisitor models now, so my entire idea is that they do have some Inquisition roaming around with them. And it's those Inquisition that are going to sanction Psychers or not. Okay, Anakin Duskwalker. Even the Tau Aircaster still short. That's just evolution. Look, the Space Marine, the Black Templar don't care what you call it. A mutation is a technically all mutations are evolution. Unless it's caused by radiation, chaos, or something like that. I've played Duskwalkers is now my homebrew chapter. Nice! Oh, my guys also like using camo a lot more. I really want to get around to painting my Phobos detachment, just so I can paint camo Black Templar. They're going to be like normal Black Templar, except they're going to have a brown shoulder pad here. They're not going to have a white shoulder pad. Instead, it's going to be a very dark grey. With, you know, rough patterns in it. And the rest of our armour is going to have dark grey running through it. Like, you know, in a camo sort of pattern, urban camo, with bits of... maybe bits of blue and bits of brown as well. I have a question. When you play Warhammer, the time person will play before the other. So how is it fair if your opening kills one of your minis and you can't attack with it just because he goes first? It's not really meant to be fair. It used to be a lot worse. And then it went a bit better. Actually, it used to be a lot worse. Then it became better to go second, and then now it's a bit more balanced. So what you want to do is generally, you want to have line of sight blocking terrain. So any ruin, let's say I have a ruin here. He is taller than this ruin. So technically he can see him and he can see him. But ruins are line of sight blocking terrain. So he cannot shoot at him and he cannot shoot at him. They don't count as being able to see one another because of ruins in the way. And what you want is a few ruins on the field. Something like this. So ruins in the middle. Ruins on either side of the field where people set up. And then you set up your miniatures so that most of your minis are hidden at the start of the game. And as a result, they can't really hit you very easily. And at least they can't hit you without then exposing their models to being shot at by your models. That's what you want to do. It's all about making sure that in the first turn your opponent can't hit your models, and if they do, they will put a lot of their models at risk of being hit by your models in the next turn. Skill issue, hide the units better, yeah, but too much. That's just good alpha strike, you had bad positioning. It also can just be lucky. Like, it could just be someone shoots 2 last cannon shots into your vehicle and they both hit, they both wound. You failed both armor saves and they roll a 6 for both dice and your vehicle gets blown to pieces. Unfortunately, those types of things happen. It's a chance-based game. The chance of that occurring is very low, but it can occur, and as a result, while your model was hidden, while they did expose a couple of models to get rid of your model, ultimately they had to expose very few points to get rid of something that was kind of expensive and important for you. It also depends. This is one of the reasons why playing very high model count armies can actually be good, and very high unit count. Because if each unit is very cheap, but you have numbers, it doesn't matter if you lose 1 unit because it's a cheap unit. You can afford to lose it. But if you instead decide you want to pay more high points cost models and you lose that model early on, it can be cost you the game, because that's like a quarter of your army just gone in a single turn before you can even use it. But yeah, it's generally better to... Age of Sigmar double turn is the most violent turn I've ever seen. Age of Sigmar's second turn is sometimes stronger since you can take a double turn next round. What? I don't know what a double turn is. No, in real war, you can just lose your entire army without getting to do anything. In fact, there's been multiple instances of someone losing their entire army in real life without getting a chance. Napoleon actually suffered a massive defeat in Austria, where he was trying to chase down an Austrian army, but they ended up turning their tide on him. He needed to effectively cross a river, but the Austrians managed to bring all their guns to bear on a mountain, well, on a hill, and the cannons, and they fired basically into his army before he had a chance to set up, before he had a chance to do any cannon fire of his own. He lost many cannons in the opening salvo. Much of his army got routed in the initial shots. While he did manage to, in the end, get some of his cannons up and running and firing back, by that point it was just far too late, and he had lost much of his army and the battle was pretty much lost. In the opening to Pearl Harbor attack, the United States lost multiple ships without being able to do anything to the enemy. There's multiple instances where you do not get to do anything because in real war, the enemy takes you by surprise. The enemy lures you into traps. It's not always because of ambush. You have to remember, it's battle games in the 40k universe, where we play games. Neither side wants to fight that battle, but they're in a position where they have to. So in real life and in the lore of the 40k, generally you do not want two evenly matched characters fighting two evenly matched forces fighting one another. If your opponent evenly matches you, that's a battle you avoid. You only want to go into battle when you significantly outpower your opponent and they don't stand a chance against you. And if you can't get that through numbers, you get it via ambush. In the games that we play in 40k, it's when two armies end up fighting one another of equal size and neither expected that fight to occur. Like, they're going in to catch an objective, not expecting enemies to be there, and the other side is also doing the exact same thing. Or both of them know there's going to be an enemy there, but they can't really afford to send any more forces than what they've got. And ultimately, one side is going to fire first, and the other side is going to suffer losses because of that fire. In real life, you very rarely will get to battle where two sides are evenly matched and get to fire at one another at the same time. One side's always going to just get the shots off first. But the game is fair. That's why when you set up, you have multiple things you can do. You have stratagems you can use to defend yourself, like you can reroll armor saves. You have the ability to set up your models in behind terrain, allowing you to defend yourself and to stop being shot at. You also have stratagems you can get that allow you to put multiple forces in reserve at the beginning of the game. So if you do have too many units that you can't hide them all, you can just take a couple of your units off and put them into reserves, and as a result, you can now hide your remaining units. So if you do something like that, that will occur in the first turn, before the first turn goes off. Your opponent now gets their turn, and they can't see your units. As a result, they're going to have to put themselves in positions to try and see your units, but they can't. As a result, in the second turn, you can come out and shoot them. You can then use special stratagems and stuff to move on and go back out after shooting. But it's a luck-based game. Ultimately, it isn't fair. You're always going to have a significant amount of the game is going to be decided by a roll of a dice. It's not fair sometimes that you roll 10 dice and you get 8 ones, and your opponent rolls 10 dice and gets 9 sixes. Well, that's just somehow times how it goes. I mean, you can do stuff where you basically go by averages, and sometimes you see this in games like D&D, where instead of rolling dice, you allow to play using averages instead. So let's say you need to roll 6 dice, and you need to roll a 3 or higher. Instead of rolling the dice, you just say on average 2 should miss. So as a result, I get 4 hits. That's not a legal way to play the game, but it is something you can do if you don't like it. If you're attacking on his turn, he strikes first, except strike first units who will strike first regardless of turn. Yeah. What does deploy mean? So deploy means at the start of the game, when you set up your army, so you play your troops on the battlefield, your different units, and you've got your terrain already on the battlefield. Deploying is before the game starts, where you put your units. So usually what you want to do is, you've got terrain, let's say the paint pots of a terrain. These are your units. You want to set up your units hidden in the terrain, so they can't see your units. The way that the game works is if you've got ruins or line of sight blocking terrain, it doesn't matter that this guy is taller than the terrain. He cannot shoot him because the terrain is in the way. Because this is a line of sight blocking terrain. If he wants to shoot him, he has to go all the way around to here before he can finally see him on the other side of the terrain. But when he does that, he becomes visible to him. You've also got stratagems in the game, which is things like, let's say he moves over here. My guy goes, oh no, he's dangerous. He can kill my guy in the shooting. So before he has a chance to shoot, because he moved near to him, I can use the Overwatch stratagem, which gives me a free round of shooting. And I go, normally that just means you only hit on 6s, but that's why you get flamethrowers and things that improve your chance to hit and stuff. How do you know where to put them? You just put them. It's because when you deploy, when you've got set up for battlefield, the battlefield is split into 3 sections. So you got this, let's say you got this section here. This area around here is called the no man's land. Neither side can put their army models here. So instead you have to put them in your deployment zone, which is over here. So you deploy your models over here and over here where they're behind terrain. On this side though is where your opponent's deployment zone, and they can only put their models on this side of the battlefield. As a result, you have all this terrain between you and your opponent. And this terrain protects you from your opponent. I mean, that's actually kind of it is like chess in that regard. In chess, you have at the start of the game, the chess board is divided into 3 sections, where your opponent has their models, where you have your are when they have their chess pieces, where you have your chess pieces, and then you have a distance between the two models. With Warhammer, it's very similar, except you've got like a 12-inch deployment zone over on here, a 12-inch deployment zone over there, and then like 24 to 48 inches between the two armies. I've only got you got different keywords and stuff. Then you can place infiltrate to keywords more loosely since you can't be shot from... Oh no, yeah, the lone operative is 18 inches. You can't be shot from 18 inches away with a lone operative keyword. The infiltrator's keyword allows you to deploy inside no man's land as long as you are away more than 9 inches away from any opponent's model. While Scout allows you to get a free movement before the enemy before the first turn. Before either player has a first turn even. But yeah, I recommend looking up how to play the game online. Like there's quite a few YouTube videos about Finches. Let me check. New recruit. Actually, why am I going to new recruit? I can show you something. Here we go. Downloads, Warhammer 40k. Here you go. Core rules. You don't need to worry about if you've got terrain or not. You can just use like boxes of tissues, bits of cardboard, old cans and stuff as terrain. Where's keywords? Weapon abilities, indirect fire, sustained hits. Stratagems, strategic reserves. Yeah, here you go. Here's like what all the terrain features do and how they work. Here's like where they show you how you set up battlefields and stuff. How aircraft work, how to muster your army. Yeah, see, here you go. Here's your deployment zone. So here's where, like, you would deploy on the battlefield. Here's where your opponent would deploy on the battlefield. And this is a gap between your two armies. Scout is goated because it's both an aggressor and defensive ability. Going first, more speed. Going second, retreat into cover. Or just push into your opponent's zone and force them to, like, you know, hey, if you want to get rid of this unit, you're going to have to just refuel some of your own units. Yeah, you got all the things about like how to set up, but these are just on the Warhammer website. So you just go core rules, download, core rules over here. Now where are the keywords for like lone operative and stuff? You got stealth, you've got this one. Lone operative, here it is. Assassins and other covert dangerous. Oh yeah, it's 12 inches. It's 12 inches. For some reason I thought it was 18. Take off your shoes and put them on the table as terrain. Yeah, or sandals. Stinky terrain. Nurgle terrain. I see people use paint pots as well a lot of the time for terrain. We can also make your own terrain using cardboard. It's really fun to make your own terrain using cardboard and foam. Even Games Workshop 3D prints their own terrain. Like, if you see some of their battlefields, you can see plenty of 3D printed terrain on their battlefields. Like, official ones. And they sometimes even use 3D printed terrain in... I wish they actually release, like, some 3D printed files for terrain. It'd be really cool, because they have some really cool 3D printed files that they've made, you know, for just display photos and stuff. It'd also be a good way to, like, get some free reputation with your community. Like, hey, here's some STL files. They have released MDF terrain before, like you got to in Kill Team. When you apply to a vehicle or monster, lone OP becomes 18 inches. Oh. Oh, I know. I might be thinking of, do you know, when you have like certain things like Gulliman? I think he has that work thing. If it's within 3 inches of a Adeptus Astartes unit, you can't shoot him within 80 unless you're within 18 inches. I think there's a few rules that, you know, they're not lone operative, but they act very similar to lone operative, but for 18 inches. And maybe a couple of stratagems. I accidentally got gold in the wrong place. Sneaky ghost kill. Love me my sneaky ghost kill. I kind of want... Oh my gosh, I've messed this up. I kind of want to get a... Make a Thespid army. Because I've really enjoyed making my Thespids so far. And it kind of makes me want to, you know, just figure out how to, you know, like, turn different units into Thespids. Like, you know, stealth suits and battle suits and stuff. The easiest would be for Kroot, and you can just get, like, Sylvaneth models for them. Like, instead of Narlock Riders or Rampagers or whatever, you get the big old bugs. I also hear, like, their spaceships kind of look like hives, and I think that would be really cool for, like, making some of the Tau vehicles look like, you know, just, like, flying hives. Beehives. Imagine a Ghost Kill as a character and you can attach a stealth suits to them and they both retain lone operative. At the moment, there's one character that can kind of do that, but they don't attach to stealth suits, and that's Shadowsun. She does have the stealth keyword and she does have the lone operative keyword, and she is kind of a battle suit. It's not quite a ghost kill, but she's the closest we get to an actual character that is like a ghost kill. She also has 2 cool fusion blasters. The Fabergé Egg of Doom, Fruit War Spears. Fruit War Spears were scary. I feel like they changed the lore on War Spears because they made them too powerful. But at the same time, how did the Kroot survive against the Orcs so well for so long before the Tau arrived? Like, sure, they were going to lose before the tower arrived, or at least that's what this house say. I'll post a BFG stat block later for your fun, given its which they will first build off a boat. Build a boat workshop! That's pretty cool. Yeah. The best way to play 40k in general is just try to mitigate how much random chance actually plays in the game. And that's just kind of like how you do war in general. You can never mitigate random chance in general and just luck. But you can at least try to stack as much favour into your circumstances so that by the time luck has anything to do, it shouldn't change the result. But if your enemy's doing the same thing, you might find limited success. But yeah, Shadow Sun's a really fun character. I don't think people rave enough about her. Stealth lone operative character who can deep strike and can move 12 inches and has 2 melter guns. And is actually pretty tough. Let me find her, and I can show you. Tau, 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 tau. Oh wait, she's only toughness 4. Oops. Maybe she's not that tough. But, oh, she's only got 5. Okay, maybe she's not that tough. But here we go. She's got a 10-inch move, sorry. What's she got? She's got 2 high energy fusion blasters at strength 10, AP -4, melt to 2, damage D6, hits on 2s. She does have lone operative, she does have infiltrator, she does have stealth. She still has for the greater good. She can shoot in a turn she fell back. Oh, she doesn't have a vehicle keyword, so she's not that good if she just get caught into melee. Each time a ranged attack targets a bearer, subtract on from 1 from... Oh yeah, so that's what makes it extra tough. It's a subtract on from the wound roll. Then, while a friendly Tau unit is within 6 inches of bearer, if it was targeted by a stratagem, roll a d6 and a 5+, gain 1 command point. If this mod is in your army, it must be a warlord. While a friendly Tau unit is within 6 inches, it reroll a hit roll of 1. So basically, she rerolls like all of her hits. She's pretty fun, but she, in addition to her 2 melters, she gets the light missile pod, damage 2, strength 7, 2 attacks, and the fletchet launcher, which is 5 attacks at strength 3. She could be better, but she's basically the closest we have to a character that's a ghost kill. I generally don't think you'll keep lone operative if you join a squad. Yeah, no, lone operative is still only 12 inches even if you're a vehicle. I also like how the ghost skill can twice per battle just reduce an attack to damage 0. Oh, it's stupid. I love it. Okay, we need to get some good purples. I need a very dark purple. And I need a little bit of a lighter purple. So Sarah's purple should be good. Yep, and... we can get some Magil's purple. That's another one I want to use, I think so. Having multiple bottles of certain paints can sometimes be confusing. Oh, where's my Shaiish purple? I might as well use that. Shaiish. Do 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 do. Do. There we go. Imagine playing Eldari. I do have Eldari. I'm making a Corsair army. Oh my gosh, from this angle I can see so much detail from my microscope magnifying glass. I can see bacterium. I've not painted any of my... I don't know what colour scheme I'm going to go for. I'm thinking like green and orange. Like very bright green, very bright orange. But that's only a thought. A game thought. Not a painting theory. Do Corsairs just ring it? Corsairs? I think there's multiple ways you can paint Corsairs. Sometimes Corsairs will have the colours of the craft world they come from, but they might come from multiple craft worlds. Some of them might also come from, you know, Dark Elder Cabals and stuff. So each of your Corsairs might have their own unique colour, like based on their own background. Some of like the Corsair group might originally be from like a certain craft world, so all of the Corsairs wear the same colour, never mind where they're actually from. Some of the Corsairs are like, you know, they belong to Prince Uriel or, you know, certain Corsair band, and they have their own colour scheme as a result. Like the colour that we see as the Corsairs currently is Prince Uriel's colours. Oh wait, was that just a joke? Oh, wing it. Gotcha. Oh. But I'm not sure what I want to do for mine yet. I've got a few ideas. No, not a joke. So many rules of him. I kind of don't really like the Dark Eldar, not the Dark Eldar, the Craft World Eldar army rule. I mean, it's fine. But it's definitely not my favourite army rule. Because it doesn't really work all the time. For like everybody you want to be playing. Compared to, at least it's not as powerful as like some of the other army rules out there. And sometimes I feel that Eldar could do with just a little bit extra punch to their stuff. Just some of their stuff. Some of their stuff is just ridiculously powerful. I think it's just because there's so many different types of Eldar models. In fact, all have like different levels of power. Right, it's quite hard to balance them to one another. Well, that's what I want to do. I wanted to get some skeleton harm down. How's that hard coat looking on him now? Still quite shiny. That's not too bad. Guys, I heard the like button was talking smack about your favourite faction. I think you should teach it a lesson. I think you should hit it. Hit that like button. Teach it a lesson for talking smack about your favourite faction. I heard it called them stinky, unless your favourite faction's Nurgle, in which case it called them clean. But yeah, there we go. Just trying to put some shadows into here. Into the creases and folds. That's right. It cleans your great one. Like the stream if you want hot boiling
Right,
noon.
that's it. Cleans your great one.
Yeah. If I'm first with dwarves in Total War Warhammer, what faction would I play on tabletop? Dwarves in Old World, or Caradon Overlords in Age of Sigmar, or Space Marines, I guess. No, Leagues of Photon. Play Leagues of Photon in tabletop. They're literally 40k dwarves. And they're not too dissimilar, I guess, from the Total War version. They're relatively slow, but not for most. They do have a couple of really fast units, but they're like equivalent to gyrocopters in a way. Like your Pioneers and your Capricorns, Defenders and stuff. They got some very big, very hard-hitting weapons. And while they are kind of a ranged faction, their range isn't actually as good as other factions' range. Like, other factions will outrange them. If you like playing as the Slayers in Total War, You have the Age of Sigmar. I can't remember what they're called. The Fire Dwarves. They're basically just all Slayers. The Flying Dwarves are extremely mobile compared to the cheap, durable infantry focus on good range options. I mean, in old world and fantasy and stuff and Total War, the dwarves can be very mobile if all you do is gyrocopter spam. And the Zeppelin spam. And like support them with pirate slayers and stuff like them. You meant 40k tabletop. Yeah, I'd say Leagues of Photon are very similar. They are a bit more mobile than your Warhammer Total War dwarves. But the thing is all factions in 40k are much more mobile than, you know, the Total War factions. Because, you know, they are... One of them's a sci-fi setting, one of them's a fantasy setting. Obviously, sci-fi is going to be far more mobile. So yeah, for Photon are probably closest. High toughness units, very tough, relatively slow compared to other factions. Lots of ranged firepower, hit very hard, can actually do melee surprisingly well, but not the best at melee. Fire Slayers have runesmiths and lava monsters. Yeah. I homebrew my Death Guard Warband to be good in a flesh eater quartz way. Nurgle gave them brainworms to disrupt their perception of reality, seeing poxwalkers as imperial citizens. That's actually not too far off how some of the people infected by Nurgle actually feel. Like, they don't see themselves and others as infected by Nurgle. They don't see themselves as deceived, bloated messes. They don't feel the pain that the diseases bring, and they kind of see themselves and those around them as, you know, idealized versions of themselves. It's if you can remove a Nurgle brainwashing on them, they often become absolutely horrified by what they've become and what others have become. This is not true of everyone in Nurgle, but it has happened a couple of times in lore of characters of people corrupted by Nurgle having like a completely different idea on reality to what is true. Actually, yeah, the Death Guard are not that far off of Warhammer Total War Dwarves. Relatively slow faction likes their artillery and their flying. Instead of gyrocopters, you've got drones. Instead of dwarven warriors, you've got plague marines. Instead of cannons, you've got the plague crawler cannon thing. And the vindicators and forge fiends. Instead of your super tough dwarven special units, you've got Terminators. And you got quite a few versions of them. The only exception there is you do have poxwalkers, but that being said, in Total War you can just spam out miners. Old World miners aren't like that. The miners in Old World are a more elite unit. Surprisingly. Actually, in Old Fantasy as well, mining unit was more of an elite unit. For a very specialised unit, you didn't like spam them into your army. They weren't cheap. Respected bloat drones, which are just stinky gyrocopters. Yuck. I happened to some Death Guard Marines, and Nurgle's hold was broken on some of them, and they were horrified. Yeah. And I also saw it happen to some possessed of Nurgle. I was reading something about them. We're like equivalent to possessed, accursed, possessed. How do Iron Warriors play on tabletop? So Iron Warriors don't really have their own... Oh no, they are going to get a detachment soon. They have their own character about to come out, and they're going to get a new detachment. But as at the moment, Iron Warriors play as just a generic Chaos Space Marines army. So you can build from any way you want, really. The way that you generally build them is using Warp Smiths, Forge Fiends, Demon Engines. So you have a lot of really big, really heavy, really shooty units that are very tough. You probably focus on using quite a few vehicles as well. Things like Vindicators, Obliterators, Terminators. And you probably use Legionnaires as well. So generally very big, very heavy, very tough units that have a lot of firepower. That being said, because of Iron Warriors' love of vehicles, like you'd probably run a couple of Rhinos potentially. You'll be running things like Predators and maybe Mauler Fiends. Also your use of Terminators and Obliterators. You've got quite a lot of mobility there. Like you can deep strike into your enemy's deployment zone. You can outmaneuver your enemy using the better range of your vehicles. So, but that being said, they are going to get a new detachment, and that might do something. Currently, the Iron Warriors equivalent detachment is... If I can find it. I'll show you. Oh, next week. Oh, yeah, they are coming next week. The new models here. Uriel as well, individually, them too, Corsair, Sky Reavers, Viper, Void Reavers. Oops. Well, here we go, yeah. So what you'd usually do for Iron Warriors is the Felhammer Siege Host. So each time an attack targets a Heretic Astartes unit, if a strength characteristic is greater than your toughness, subtract 1. So basically it just makes your units tougher, and this is very useful for vehicles as well. Makes them even tougher. But one of the ones that I think is actually relatively good for them at the moment is Renegade Warband. That feels very Iron Warriors-y as well. It feels Night Lord-y, Red Corsairs-y, and Iron Warriors, in which they play more like typical Space Marines now, where they get Vendetta targets, which is like Oath of Moment, and they get Assault. But that being said, is that again they're far more mobile. They're not like in either case they don't really play too much like dwarves. The new codex might change that though. Not the new detachment, sorry. But yeah, let me check the new next week stuff. What's coming out? So you got these guys, these guys, these guys. These guys as well. Red Corsairs Reeve Captain is coming out individual release. These guys are releasing the squads of 5. Red Corsairs upgrades. Ooh, cool new dice. Ooh, I like the Eldar dice. Ooh, Eldari Corsair Combat Patrol as well is coming out next week. Red Corsairs 2, and the Night Lords 1, and the Kroot 1. Oh, and made to order stuff for Lord of the Rings. These are metal models, I believe. They might be plastic. No, I think they're plastic because... Oh, yeah. They're made to order. This is where, they fought the Ringwraiths and Frodo got stabbed. Oh, this is so cool. I think these are metal models. At least some of them are. Oh, this is cool. I've seen this around the place quite often, and I just thought it was like a 3D print or something that like people made themselves. Didn't realise it was actually an old model. Like a Gimli with his fold in his head there, apparently. New writer of Space Pirates! Kekarodons! Black Library book! Space Sharks! But now they use Valhammer siege cells, so they make some tankier units, even tankier. So spam termies. Obliterators are very good in there as well. And so are your weaker demon engines, like your Hellbrute is really, really good in the Valhammer siege host. But yeah, what bikes are really cool? Sorry. I didn't see any bikes. That's of a what default thingy. Bikes. You mean this thing? The Viper. They're cool. I like big bikes, yeah, I guess. Ooh, trailers for Warhammer TV stuff. Trizan Tesseract Trials. Oh, there's so much coming out next week. Protect your wallets. I kind of am tempted by this just because of Viper, but no. I do want to get some Felgar. But that, and maybe a Rhino. I do like the Reeve Captain. I'm not going to get it. No, can't get it. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is made to order. So these are old models. But yeah, return. Oh, wait, they're not made to order. They're just returning. In celebration of 25th anniversary of the movie, the Attack of Weathertop features Strider, a Resin terrain set of a ruined tower. These miniatures and terrain kits will be available. Oh, made to order, yeah. Okay, there we go. Oh, and then you got the scenarios available to download. Here. Oh. That's cool. I kind of like that stuff. Yeah. Oh. Wait. Just give me a moment. Oh no, it's Boromir! It's shot full of arrows! Yeah, you got dead Boromir over here. Kekarodons, they are gonna make them Primaris. Yeah! Oh, he's being shot up. And then you got the hobbits. They're taking the hobbits to Isengard! The power of FOMO compels you. Relinquish your wallet to the light of a website. No.
The power of FOMO compels you. Relinquish your wallet into the light of the website. Blessed be the poor, for their souls are full of plastic.
Yake! Oh, look at all of this, though. Gimli, Legolas. Boromir, no, Boromir. They're having a great time, of those hobbits. Wait. Legolas is drawing his bow there. He's aiming his bow here. And over here, he's getting another arrow ready. He's got his double axe as fair as Gimli. He's about to swing his big old axe. He's readying his axe. He's about to give someone a big old hug here with Aragorn. He's about to give someone a big old stab or slash is fair. And over here he's about to shoot them. Okay, who's who over here? Can you tell? I think that's meant to be Frodo. Is that one meant to be Sam? One of these two is. So this one? Then Merry and Pippin, one of us. Gandalf is there. Is he in this set as well? No. Not in there either. Frodo again. Now we got different colour hair. These hobbits, forget for change of a hair colour. I think top left is Pippin, top right is Sam. Yeah, it's hard to tell. These models, old models, are not the most detailed ones. They are cool models. I do love these ring wraiths. Yeah, this is the one. This is like the one combat patrol here I am not tempted by at all. This one I would be tempted by if I could figure out a place for any of these models. But I don't have a place in any of my armies for them. This one I'm kind of tempted by, but that's just too many of these guys. Too many of them. I kind of want a Viper, but not really. Want that, but not really. Yeah. Oh, sorry. We got distracted. If they are based on the film appearances, Mary would have lighter colour hair. Yeah. Oh no, Mary has the yellow vest. Oh, Mary has the yellow vest. There we go. If you're going by film appearances, Merry and Pippin would have like thinner faces. I mean, in reality, they shouldn't have thinner faces. Like, I think most hobbits, unless they're like starved or really unfortunate, have like kind of chubby cheeks and stuff. Gosh, you know, they like to eat, they like the food, and they've also got like this eternal like youth to them. Well, not an eternal youth, but they do have like quite a youth to them and vitality, which is chubby cheeks with rosy red colour to them. Which in the film, Merry and Pippin weren't very, you know, like that. Never weren't. And Merry and Pippin were kind of, you know, very well off, so it's not like they're poor, despite how they're like robbing a farm. The film takes a lot of liberties with the fiction. I don't think the liberties are bad because as much as people love Lord of the Rings, it itself is not perfect. And also modern audience perceptions have changed since the books came out. And translating books to films isn't always a one-to-one process, and nor should it be. And equally, as much as we might complain about, you know, film writers putting their own spin on stuff, ultimately films themselves are an art form, aren't they? And all of the actors, all of the writers, directors and stuff, each put their own soul into the work. So rather than just making like just a one-to-one copy, they're putting their own takes and breath from the story into it. Because it's their work of the film is their work of art. It's not always going to be as well received though, and sometimes it will be. I love that when I watch the movies, you spend so much time with just the hobbits, I forget they're meant to be short, so for normal humans a brief second look massive. I don't remember ever feeling like that. But that being said, everyone is short to me, so... no, I'm not meant to be doing gold here. I'm meant to be doing Balthasar gold. Okay. I'll do for gold everywhere else then. Yeah, I spent so much time talking today. We've barely got any painting done, sadly. We may have lost weight when they drank the Entwater and grew in height. That was all of those models, though. Oh, yeah. I mean, in the film, though, they kind of do look. Even before then, like before they go on the trip, they don't have the same plump, rosy cheeks that Fro do. Or not to the same extent that Frodo and Sam do. Thunder is a tall cupcake. I am 6'4", 195 centimeters, 195 inches. That's how tall I am now. I'm a growing cupcake. I've grown beyond a measly 6'4". I am now as tall as a World Trade Center. Wow. They say if you look to the horizon, you can just see a strange cupcake woman. It's like, which horizon? All of them. Which horizon? Yes. I need to fix the light paint there. Fine. There we go.
Cupcan's gotta get back to her other job, being the world serpent.
The world serpent. Look, I would never eat my own tail. It's like, you have a tail? I had a tail. What happened to it? I don't want to talk about it. You ate your tail, didn't you? No. And you can't prove otherwise. Why has the world got into chaos? Well, when I look at the sky, I don't see the world serpent up there anymore. Like, there's no such thing as a world serpent. It's like, okay, when does, like, living memory start? And by living memory, I mean, like, where we can record things really well about the sky and stuff. I mean, probably the early 1900s. And when did the world start to go to pot? Well, I mean, you had the Great Depression. Oh my goodness. That's when the world serpent disappeared. That'd actually be hilarious. To, like, have a story like that. I started writing a story last night. Called The Goat Woman. And I decided to set it when the first Action Comics was produced, which is 1938. Which is like the first comic to feature Superman. Except it's set in a fictional world. Loosely inspired by our world and our history. Use 1938 just because that way you just instantly just drag the person into the idea of what the world looks like. Oh gosh. And it's just such a silly story. It's like, what if somebody, like, was a minor superhero, had all the powers of a goat? She can climb basically like any surface. Every story is loosely based on the real world. Yeah, she can pretty much climb like any surface because she's a mountain goat. She has, like, her head is almost completely impervious to damage. It's just an exaggerated idea of, you know, mountain goats have really tough heads. Then she has, as I said, all the powers of a goat. Her 2 eyes can move independently of one another. She can scream like a goat. And she's got all the intellect of a goat, which is to say not much at all. Although she's a fabulous escape artist, because apparently goats are really good escape artists. Except now imagine that she's a detective. Like, she's a private investigator. I just thought that was such a funny idea for, like, you know, minor superhero. Other characters involved are going to be the house cat. Can she eat her? Oh, that'll be another cool power. She just randomly eats things like tin cans. You give her like a can of cola, she drinks a cola and just eats the can. Hi, Mal. But yeah, she's got the house cat as well. The house cat has all the powers of a house cat. And it's just as anxious, skittish, and, you know, introverted as a house cat. And then you're going to have, like, somebody who's, like, Coyote. And again, his power is he can just scream really loud. Well, one of his powers is he can scream really loudly, like a coyote going, "Awoo!" That's just Cupcakes. I can't eat almost everything. I can barely eat anything, at least anything that's real food. I have serious dietary restrictions due to bad health. I can't have onion. I'm basically like a vampire, if I'm to be honest. I can't have onion. I can't have garlic. I need extra blood. She can eat almost anything once. Give her a weakness where she randomly freezes and falls over. Is that a weakness of goats? Her weakness for me is that her body, while she is relatively strong and relatively fast, she doesn't have great endurance, because goats do not have great running endurance. They can walk a relatively far distance, but their running endurance is kind of bad. So she can sprint relatively well over over short distances. She can jump really, really high, like a goat can. While her head is really tough, her body actually isn't that much tougher than a normal human's body. So it's just her head, her hands, and her feet that are tough. And she doesn't have, like, super fast reflexes. And she's also dumb. A lot of the time, she's not that as dumb as, like, she seems at first. Like, when she seems kind of suave and cool at first when you see her from, like, a distance, but the more you try to get to know her, the more you realise she's kind of not very intelligent. Some small goats have been known to bred to freeze and fall over. They are used as decoys to protect more valuable livestock. Oh no! That's sad. I don't think I want to give her that power then. Or that weakness. She does ram her head into things, that's one. Oh, she is a bit oblivious, that's one thing she does have. And when she's panicked, she is prone to fall over and be clumsy. One thing I did think about would be fun is if, you know, like, you got 3 different classes of, like, super people. Because the entire... I'd taken a bit of, like, inspiration from Avatar, you know, the entire, you know, idea of spirits and stuff. And from other similar sorts of stories. Where people are born with, like, powers in one of 3 ways. They're either mutated, like my main character. They either have the ability to, like, sorts of cast certain magics and stuff. Often, these people can be also mutated, but they don't have to be. And if they are mutated, they don't always look like they're mutated. And then you got supers, who often do belong to the first 2 factions, but the supers are much tougher, like really, really powerful, and they look normal. And they're all just the same groups of people. But the people who are mutated, you know, they're discriminated against quite heavily. The people who don't look mutated but have magical powers are very heavily discriminated. And, like, people are trying to round them up and stuff and, like, encouraging outing your neighbours and stuff. And then you got the supers, who the governments and stuff say are different. And, you know, the government tries getting them on their side and the military and stuff. Because they're like... You know, we can't really make these guys public enemies because they're too powerful, so it's better just to have them on our side and convince them that they're different from these other mutants and stuff. And to help us round up those other mutants. Because it's 1938. You're going to get that sort of discrimination. You're just describing Marvel Comics, kind of. But it's all to do with spirits. All of it comes from, like, spirit energy. That's in the world. And it's also a bit how DC works and stuff like that. At least some versions of DC have. I'm thinking instead of calling them mutants, the ones that, you know, look weird, they're called, like, demonkin. And I don't know what I'm going to call the casters yet. The magic ones. But yeah, the actual supers are pretty much all in control of the government, or controlled by the government or military. Hello, ninjas. Right, Ninja Skulo. Ninja Skulo. How you doing? Ninja Skura? There we go. Painting our models, doing super fun stuff. Yeah. There we go. Okay, that's going to be bronze, that's going to be bronze, that's going to be bronze. Oscuro means dark in Spanish. Oh. Oh, Oscar. Sorry, my dyslexia just messed up there. The way that YouTube does for names now and don't allow people to have spaces and stuff in for names, it makes it harder for my dyslexia. Oh, Ninja Oscuro. Ninja Obscuro. Is that where we get the word obscure? There we go. Good. Ninjas. Super. Okay, come on, just get into here. And then just down here. I also realised I don't know much about the technological level of the 30s. And like what was around and what wasn't. 20s, I know a lot about. The 50s, I know a lot about. The 40s, I actually don't know a lot about civilian technology and stuff around at the time. I know that was, as much as, we talk about like those periods of time were great periods of like innovation stuff. In a lot of ways they weren't. Because a lot of like innovations and stuff started in the, mid to late 30s and then had to be put on pause across the 40s until the end of the war. So you end up having like, in a lot of ways, technology just stopped for a decade. In a lot of ways it advanced ridiculously quickly, but in a lot of other ways it just completely stopped. And it's like, oh. I'm learning a lot about it. And then I'm realizing just how much, I'm reading stuff, it's like, this thing was abound back then. I had just come into fashion and then it stopped existing for a while. In fact, some of the things they didn't get back until like the 70s or something like that. And it's like, what? This thing just stopped existing until the 70s. But it came about in the 30s. Actually, lots of stuff was like that. Some of it's nothing to do with the war, though. Some of it's just due to, like, businesses and stuff going, we recognize that this thing is really, really, really bad. And, it's now been scientifically proven, but we're going to do everything we can to stop it being banned because... Or we're going to do everything to stop this innovation because if it happens, it's going to ruin our industry. Corporations, gotta love them. Always got our best interest at heart. Look at all this black paint congealed under here. Yikes. There we go. And now can this close? Oh, it closes! If they are spirit-based, the types could be descended from different mythological groups. Supers from gods, magic from fae, and others from demons. Ooh, maybe. Maybe. I was thinking of going for more Eastern and, you know, pre-Christian idea of it. Of doing what the spirits actually are. The way you got this idea of that the spirits aren't really good or really bad, and the difference between gods and other spirits, there's actually no difference. It's a bit like, do you know the old Nordic and Greek religions, where the actual difference between the gods, the titans, all of these different things, the different pantheons and stuff, it's just basically who's in power and who's in control. And I like the idea that the three different groups aren't actually different groups. They're all just the same people. It's just society and it's just society and governments that have given names and division to these groups. A bit like you get in real life. And by giving names and divisions to these groups, what it does, it splits the groups from one another and actually pits them against one another, as also weakening them. Like, if all of these groups just recognised that really if they're just the same group of people and actually decided to work together, then for people who are trying to, like, weaken them will, you know, not have much of a chance. What factions are you painting? We're painting the Black Templars. Well, my versions of the Black Templars. My army is split up into three different groups. Not three different groups. A bunch of different divisions. My crusade. And... not divisions. Is it for... not detachments. What word did I use? I forgot what I did. New recruit. Tell me. Oh no, yeah, they are detachments. Never mind. Yeah, they split into like 13 different attachments each. And they all, instead of using red for the banner, for their whatever cloaks and guns and stuff, they instead use blue. And each detachment has its own colour that it uses its shoulder pad on. These are from the mobile detachment, which use a purple shoulder pad. This guy's from Squad 1, so he doesn't have any colour on his knee pad. These guys are from Squad 2 in that detachment, so they've got purple shoulder pads and white knee pads. Yeah. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do the bronze there before I start getting black onto stuff again. Balthasar Gold, the best bronze colour. That does not look gold in the slightest. Very fitting that Balthasar Gold is not look gold.
Imperial? Nah. Stormcloak? Nah. Screw the Thalmar? Heck yeah, gimme the sword.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we can all agree that the Thalmar are amazing, but you shouldn't be doing that with them, you know. You said screw the Thalmar. We didn't mean like that. We meant like, you know, the bad way, where we hate them. Oh! I just saw elf women and men and thought, you know, screw the Thalmar. Homebrew Black Templars. Yeah! Black Templar inspired more than anything else. That being said, Black Templar don't really have any rigid organization. You're very free to do whatever you want with them. And your crusade. Each crusade basically has its own organization and way of doing things. My crusade is generally more tolerant and much more color coordinated. They have a bit more organization. And they do take some teachings from the Codex Astartes. That being said, as much as we'd like to joke about the Black Templars don't care about the Codex Astartes, they do still recognize it does have, like, you know, decent ideas in it, like how to fight battles and stuff. And how to do some of the organizational doctrines and stuff. Although that is a decreasing sentiment amongst the Black Templar. The main thing they don't like about it is, you know, just limiting the size of their armies. I mean, part of the color coding for me is just that I like my... I just want to actually keep my detachments from getting mixed up with one another. So by color coordinating them, I can just tell who belongs to what detachment and what squad. Got real life uses, yeah. And also it means that when you have two squads and they both go into melee with the same target, you know who belongs to what squad. Oh wait, gotta do this bronze here as well. Oh darn it. Ah, that's why I got for blackout. You know, Imperials. What faction do people usually join in for Civil War if you join for Civil War in Skyrim? I usually go Imperial. Gosh, you know, good old Britain. People claim independence from the Empire. I don't know, there's something in my British genes that really doesn't like the idea. I think the games themselves also do a very good job of just making you dislike the Stormcloaks. Like, you go into Windhelm and the first thing you see is things like racism and class inequality and all sorts of stuff like that. And depending on like who your character is, you can get treated very differently depending on who your character is and how people talk to you. Which people you talk to, sorry. Ah, gosh. Elbow. When you get the entire thing of, you know, Ulfric potentially being a sleeper agent. The entire thing of, you know, Balgruuf wanting to join the Empire. And, I don't know, pushing towards the Empire in face of Ulfric. And, you know, he's your friend. Balgruuf is a good guy. Then when you get to Solitude, it's like, yeah, they're executing somebody. But then it's like, one of the first things you find out about that person getting executed is a jerk. He helped Ulfric. It's like, okay, I mean, it's treason. There's not much that can be done about that. But more people talk about how Stormcloak victory negatively affected them than for positives. Yeah, also, you've got Imperium. Usually, I'm not a fan of the Stormcloaks. Yeah, the Imperials. There's another couple of things. One, you've got, as terrible as the Imperial gear is, it looks a lot better than, like, the Stormcloak gear. Like, the Stormcloaks generally look like they couldn't take care of a Skyrim compared to the Imperials. And then a bunch of, like, the Stormcloak Jarls and stuff just seem, like, so horrible. The Jarl of Dawnstar and Winterhold are just absolutely awful. As bad as it is to get Maven Blackfire to join to take over Riften. She pretty much has full control of Riften anyway due to how incompetent the current Jarl is there. Comparatively, the Jarl of Markarth does not seem as incompetent, and he can do much more to significantly hamper the Silverbloods than you can. What's the name? Maven Blackfire. The Stormcloak's entire thing is against the Thalmor, and if you actually listen to Tullius and stuff, he hates the Thalmor too. So it's then hard to, like, look at the Stormcloaks and think they have the right of it. It's like, okay, so the people you hate are the people of the Thalmor, and you're fighting these other people who also hate the Thalmor because you hate the Thalmor more? But really, you both absolutely detest them and want to defeat them. And the war only serves to help the Thalmor. And the people who started the war are the Stormcloaks. To be fair, Ulfric did do honourable combat. And he did do honourable combat, but the people didn't see it as honourable combat because they didn't view the shouting as honourable. That's the thing. It's like, they viewed it as, like, Moida. Like, for using magic in combat. On top of that, he also, being a non-Dragonborn and using the shouts for, like, combat is apparently, like, really, really bad. And it goes against all of the Greybeard's teachings and, like, the sacred, you know, traditions of the Nords and Skyrim. To be using the shouts like that as a non-Dragonborn. And when you look at like the people who used the shouts the most, that were like in Nordic history, most of them were Dragonborn. Talos. It's... What's his name? Begins with Y. He's got the big axe that the companions love. Something. Eskimo. When ironically we limit Maven by putting her in as an official law, she now has more red tape and more eyes on her. Probably not stop her ways, but it would drain her coffers faster. Yeah. Also, one of the things that we do is by taking over the Thieves Guild, or by empowering the Thieves Guild, we actually kind of empower Maven. And by empowering the Brotherhood, we kind of empower Maven as well. Because as much as you can say that, oh, we hate Maven and now we control them, it's like... kind of, but at the same time, not really, because we can't do any actions against Maven itself. She's basically got the ultimate plot armor. And the two factions that were under her thumb were literally on the verge of dying out before the Dragonborn comes along. So literally all we ever do is just empower Maven. The only way to not empower Maven is basically just not play the game. Eskimo, yeah. By winning us a Stormcloaks, Maven doesn't really get any weaker because she's in the same position was beforehand. If anything, Lawgiver is in a stronger position, and as a result, that means Maven's now in a stronger position. And in fact, she gains like a lot of power because she benefits from whoever wins. She makes money. From it all. And is using the Cuptle award to further her own agendas. So, yeah. In the end, we never do anything to really empower the Silverbloods unless you take Markov of the Stormcloaks, in which case the Silverbloods.
So what you're saying is she's a Maven Sue.
She's a Maven Sue, yeah. If us to expand on it, we could just say no to Maven since we both own both the Thieves Guild and the Assassins. True. The game never allows us to do that. She's got the ultimate plot armor. Actually, no. There are three things she can do to empower the Silverbloods, but all of them are very much choices to either empower them or weaken them. You can either save Carthwasten from them or give them Carthwasten. You can either help the Forsworn, or you can help the Silverbloods defeat the Forsworn. In either case, the Silverbloods will suffer massive damage there, though. So it's just about if one of their characters gets killed off or not, like one of their brother gets killed off or not. And you can either work for the Empire or you can work for the Stormcloaks. Working for the Stormcloaks gives the Silverbloods Markov. You can't even mod Maven out since she's connected to a lot of variables and moving her would break the game. It's true. There's a... It's also implied that Maven's connections go far beyond just the Dark Brotherhood and the Thieves Guild. On top of this, just because you now own the Brotherhood and the Thieves Guild does not mean Maven does not have power. A lot of the people who remain in both of them are all connected to Maven. And as a result, if you told the Dark Brotherhood to jump and you told the Thieves Guild of the Dark Brotherhood to jump and Maven told them to sit down, you may find that more of them sit down than jump. And if you told them to assassinate her and she told them to assassinate you, you might not be in a stronger position as you might have thought. At least that's my headcanon for why she remains so powerful. And like somehow our character realizes this. So she is Maven Sue. It's true. To be fair, for the assassins, most of the old crew is gone. The Thieves Guild is a problem, but no, you have to remember there's 2 people remaining in the Dark Brotherhood who are both connected to Maven. And both of them run the Brotherhood more than you do. Nassim? Not Nassim. Why did I say Nassim? Oh, what's his name? Ah! That seems bad that I just called him Nassim. Oh, Babette. Babette's for Child Vampire. And oh, I forgot his name. I didn't even mean to say Nassim, and it's like Nasir. Is he called Nasir? No, I didn't say we look alike. Realistically, she can't actually do anything to you as you're basically a walking god at the end game. It is Nasir. Yeah, Nasir. So I said Nassim, but I meant Nasir, yeah. Yeah, you got Nasir and you've got Babette.
Do you go to the Cloud District often? Fusro does the pompous skit all the way to the moon.
Why do people hate Nassim? Nassim is great. He just asked you a question. Do you get to see the Cloud District very often? And it's like, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. He probably sees it more than... I wish Nassim suffers from cut content. Really badly. Like more than you might think. Because his house was cut content. His house was cut content and he was meant to go to like his house at night and stuff, but now he just goes to a room in that one inn for Drunken Huntsman. And then you have... He is also meant to go to the Cloud District, but he just never programmed that in. So he's meant to be one of the people that can go up, you know, sit at the table and, you know, say hi to people and stuff. But instead, all he does is just walk around the market, go to a Drunken Huntsman. And that's about it. I bet don't care about Maven, and Nasia owes you more than Maven. Cicero is loyal to you, kind of. I think, for one issue I think about the Thieves Guild and the Dark Brotherhood in like all of the Elder Scrolls, it's that it doesn't actually make a lot of sense that you become the one in charge. I think this goes double for Skyrim. The Thieves Guild has to be one of the major quests that I dislike doing the most, though. Because it's just because you have to sell your soul. And realistically, maybe the Dragonborn selling their soul doesn't really matter because, you know, their soul is Akatosh itself. So they never really sell the soul. I don't like that there's no option not to sell your soul. Though there is, it's just never go and finish the quest. But there's no way to fail the quest. Like, there's other quests that people dislike, and I'm like, yeah, you can, there are other options to end the quest. You can just fail the quest. And failing the quest, I think, is a very legitimate way to finish a quest. If you don't like how it ends, you can just fail it before it ends. And the Dark Brotherhood is not one of them. Not Dark Brotherhood, the Thieves Guild is not one of them. I just messed that up massively. Nassim's wife is cheating on him. Yep, that's true as well. I'm on Nassim to be a follower, and you can make him a follower by starting a brawl with him, and he's surprisingly cool follower since this voice package he has a fun personality. Oh, that's cool. I generally just have like realistic pathing mods, you know, NPC routine mods rather. So with that, he will go to the Cloud District and stuff. I think there's one that also gives him back Chilfo Farm, or whatever it's called. And I think another one that makes it possible to actually rent a room with a drunken huntsman. Oh damn, I just messed that up again. Very hard to get a good angle on this eye because the shoulder pad and gun is in the way. Yeah. I also wonder how much of a Dark Brotherhood is actually alive still, and just how much of it is assumed to be gone. Because ultimately, when it comes to these things, all we ever get is just characters, in-game characters telling us information that may or may not be true. And like Cicero is the one that gives us much of the information, and Astrid too. And both of them are extremely unreliable narrators. So we don't actually know much about the
I overslept again.
Hi, Native Engine. Up there, boys. Hope you're doing well. Hope your sleep was at least a very good sleep. I overslept today as well, but I didn't sleep very well last night. I was up at like 4 in the morning, 5 still.
Time to defrosting a cupcake.
I mean, defrosting them's fine. Why were we frozen in the first place, though? That's weird. Okay, he's coming along. He's got eyes. I want to put some white in those eyes. I'm going to put sand in your eye. Dirt in your eyes. That's it. Dirt. Is it full white copper? Yeah. Got some battle suits. Ranger is quite common in fantasy, but thieves and assassins often coexist. You'd think that due to being a shared skill set, there'd be one organisation. It depends. Like in real life, thieves guilds and the assassin's guilds were two different things, because assassin's guilds were generally like high profile things. Like ninjas, stuff like that. You came from well-off families. You have a second, third sons or daughters or something of like a major family. Thieves' guilds, on the other hand, were set up by the impoverished and poor. And that's where the two things kind of separate from one another. One is a group of wealthy people that have formed a guild of subterfuge, assassination, and they might do stealing as well. But the main thing is they're rich people. Assassins guilds, thieves guilds are made up of poor people. And they might do they do robbing, they do thieving, and they might do assassinating as well. But they're made up of poor people. When you go into fantasy, they decide to instead focus more on, you know, making one just purely thieves and one purely assassins, and change it up how they work. There's not too many examples of each, because most like poorer organized like thieves guild types things, like basically just gangs, and most groups that were like doing assassinations and stuff were usually not big organized groups. You did have some, like you had ninjas and stuff in the Japan, and you had similar things going on in mainland China, and even in the Roman Empire. I think actually it was a Roman Empire organization that was all themed around assassinating people, but they also protected people from assassinations. Assassin's Guild existed in the Middle East back around 10 to 12 AD, which is when the first Assassin's Creed is based on. Yeah. In all you've had different organizations and groups that are similar to both Thieves Guild and Assassin's groups. I know medieval Europe had a bit of mixture of both, like in various countries, but again, it's like a mixture. It's not hard and fast on either side. And usually they didn't see the same ridiculous level of organizations that you see in like fantasy. I think the like ninjas and stuff, they did have people from poorer classes as well joining them. but they were set up by the wealthy, is the important for note. They weren't set up by poor people who were coming together to, you know, be poor together. I think there are some like thieves guilds that popped up with a rising merchant class. And other merchant guilds that going around, and these were specifically like set up to target and attack other merchant guilds. And sometimes actually if they were set up, because I was reading about like a significantly powerful one in Europe, and it was like one of the first major guilds. And one of the things it did is it extorted entire kingdoms and cities and stuff. And it would set up like these groups and organizations that would just go around like not just extorting the city, but like robbing cargo of other traders, other mayors, and stuff like that, and kings and stuff, and stealing taxes. But the entire thing is it was connected to the Merchants Guild. And some of these ones did go rogue and like attack the Merchants Guild that originally hired them and set them up. Especially after they were no longer needed and they got what they wanted. But so I'm guessing the two things is the reason why they are often separate in these things is because they get set up for two completely different reasons. Yes, they have a cross-section of skill sets, but I think Europe, they weren't really guilds, just organised crime groups like modern day mob, pretty much. But that's kind of what Thieves Guild and stuff, it's like, especially the Thieves Guild in Skyrim, it runs much more like an organised mob, but at least when we first join it. By the end, it's much more, this organised guild stuff. But at the beginning, one of your first tasks is to extort people for money and to do blackmailing and stuff, which is just very much mob gang rule. That is pretty unavoidable, I guess. What other groups are there? Oblivion's Thief Guild is much more Robin Hood. Yay! Have I not seen that one much? I think the biggest thing is like, Europe didn't really have the same level of, Assassin's Guilds. Like, we've had various things that we could say is similar to Thieves Guilds in a way. Various gangs, some merchant guilds, and things like Robin Hood. But organised groups of assassins, I mean, I guess, wasn't one of like the Knightly Orders a bit more like an assassin's group? I think they might be the closest that Europe had to its own thing like that. The Middle East had stuff that was similar. Rome did. And they were definitely assassins back then, and definitely trained assassins, but they didn't belong to like guilds. It was just more like, hey, I'm gonna train you to kill this person, go and kill them. I don't know. I guess in Europe, the closest thing that you'd have to an Assassin's Guild would actually be like these gangs and stuff. The closest thing we had to Thieves Guild were also the closest things that we had to Assassins groups. He did have mercenaries that were like hired to kill people, but again, that was less about they're mostly soldiers. Okay, this guy's coming along nicely now. Oh, it's 20 past 1. 20 past 7, sorry. Because it's a Sunday, I have to get thumbnails done. I also want to get a shower later, so... The Pinkertons or Thieves Guild? I guess so. Here we go. This is how this guy's looking so far. It's not looking too shabby. I should have got more done today. I just got caught up talking. Just need to do a bit more white on this. Get the gun done a bit. Get some Agrex of shade on. Do the eyes. Then just do the armor. And it should be finished. If you're a king, you'll probably just have your knight do it like Thomas Becket. Yeah. That was mostly how these things went. Often it's like, the main thing that these things did is that it was like, oh, there's a hunting accident. Oh, there's a jousting accident. Oh, this thing happened. It was either you'd have a knight, a friend, or, you know, you'd have someone in your personal employ or of your personal social circle who you'd hire or who you'd ask or hire to do the killing. You might also have someone inside their social circle that you can just ask to do it. It would be very much, assassinations within Europe would very much be like how they kind of work in Crusader Kings. In which basically it's just pay off a bunch of people to deliver a poison or to get them caught up in something. Because I can't really think of any group like within Europe whose entire job was just, we'll kill these people for you. There are definitely people like that, as we said, in the Middle East, in the Eastern Roman Empire. In ancient Europe, I guess there was as well, like before pre-medieval classical era. But again, that was mostly connected to Rome and Greece. Persia maybe had something like that. And Chimena and Chanina did. Mainland China had stuff like that though because of how their entire system worked. It's like, we need to quietly get rid of this administrator who's, you know, causing problems. It's like, oh no, China's been split again. Well, there's a bunch of wannabe, you know, celestial empress. It would be nice if that number significantly reduces. But again, very few of these guilds work how like the Assassin's Guild in Fantasy Story does in fantasy games do. And very often they did far more than just assassinate people. Like, one of the big things is protect yourself from assassins. So, and it's very easy to protect yourself from assassins when you're hiring for people to protect you that would otherwise be hired to assassinate you. And those people aren't then going to assassinate you because that would just be a big stain on their reputation. Because it's like, sure, you pay them 10,000 gold or whatever, probably not 10,000 gold, that's a lot of money. You pay them a bunch of gold, then someone else offers them 3 times as much. That 3 times as much is genuinely not going to be enough. Because, you know, they've got a reputation to uphold. Oh, gosh. Big old stretching. Oh. That being said, the Eastern Roman Empire emperors did often get, you know, various Roman empires. The Praetorian Guard, who, you know, were meant to protect Roman empires, they killed more emperors than anybody else. So it doesn't always work like that. But my hands... Oh, my hands are creaky and cracky today. But let's go back to over here. What's going on? Let's look. Here's our schedule for next week. Wait, what's this? What did I just move? Here we go. This image. I want to move this. Here we go. We're painting. We got a Bloodthirster. We've got Tau Battle Suits. We got Member Stream. We got Rimworld. We got more Double Dungeon. And we got Combat Patrol magazines to read. I don't actually know what we're going to do for models there because I've got loads of guardsmen I've not built yet. Need to organise them up. Battle Suits. Yeah, we've got to build a broadside and hopefully for Ghost Kill tomorrow. Not tomorrow. On Wednesday. Oh gosh, big old yawns. Big old yawns. Don't forget to like the stream if you've not liked it already, because every like on this stream helps me out significantly. Remember, that like button insulted your favourite army. It said your favourite army. It sucked, and Games Workshop should get rid of it. They should squat your favourite army. That's what they said. They gotta squat it. If you don't know what squatting means, squats used to be an army in 40k and then they got rid of it. We brought them back in terms of League of Photon. But for a long time they disappeared and we pretended they didn't exist. Hope you get some real good rest. I hope you get some real good rest too. The like button says Space Marines suck. Yeah, unless you're Erland. Erland, the like button told me it loves Space Marines, so you should give it a big old punch. Squatting is like harder swatting. Yeah, squatting. Oh gosh. But thank you for coming to the stream. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Remember to take care of yourselves, be kind to others, and vice versa. Big love hearts to you all. Yeah. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. Yeah. Eat good food, sleep well, dream of cupcakes, but don't eat the cupcakes as if that's not food. Goodbye, everyone. Whee!